Good evening, everyone. Dadman Walking 55 here with you at 2 minutes after 7 o'clock on the East Coast time zone. Yeah, I almost said 8 o'clock because I've been doing a lot of 8 o'clocks lately, but we're at 7 p.m. Eastern time zone tonight. Hey, welcome with another Friday night. A great show we're going to have tonight. Something a little bit different. And just to playing around with different time zones, time frames, and stuff like this. But hey, I got a great guest tonight with me tonight. So this guy is who I think of when I think of football and especially NFL football history. There's none other better that I know of around that I love talking to. Any chance I get to talk to this guy is a blast and a wonderful time. And his knowledge is second to none, and love having him around. And just great guy to hear, and let's bring him on in and not waste a lot of time. But hey, hail to the great Clobberin Times. Hey, Clobby.
Well, thank you for that. And hail to you and the chat. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here, buddy.
Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, last NFL season, actually, it started last year during college football streams, brought you on for a week, talked a little bit about football. Then near the end of the NFL season, we talked the last few weeks and into the playoffs, and I enjoyed it. I hope you did too, Clobby.
Absolutely.
Although I was worried about you that one. I was worried about you that 1 week with the playoff possibilities, and especially when they had canceled that one game, and then none of us could understand the playoff possibilities of that.
Oh, that crap! Yeah. Now I think the Bills and because of that injury or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever it was. I can't remember what it was now.
It was the player that actually had the heart issue on the field.
And they canceled the whole game. Yeah, that's right.
Never it up. So that changed all
weird. That was weird.
That was very weird. And let's hope it doesn't. Of course, the player made a recovery. That's wonderful news too. And but anytime that happens with games canceled, it causes problems. That one actually came down to where it was, including the good old coin flip could have been one of the tiebreakers.
Right. Yeah, that was nutty stuff. We
all love coin tiebreakers, but hey. Well, thanks, Clobby. Glad to have you here. So, how are you doing these days before I introduce the chat? I know you're busy with all your normal Trek and comics, but how are you today?
Good enough, man. It's been a busy week, so just kicking back a little bit. And well, as it turns out, I don't get to kick back too much because I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming. But the streaming part, at least, it's fun because it's hanging out with good friends and talking about things I like to talk about. So, doing great.
All right. Absolutely. That's what we love to hear. And we love to have fun around here. And even if we don't know it, we'll fake it and we'll put a smile on our face. And hopefully you'll laugh along with us too. And maybe a few dad man moments along the way. So, hey, we all laugh together. But hey, let's say hello to some of our friends out in the chat. We got the Snortopoopas Cuber. Hello, humans and other critters. Yes, I love that. Always loves that
Snorty.
Intro. Yeah, old polar bear's been around a while. Always good to have you, sir. And hail to JT Kirk. By the way, thanks to JT, one of our standard greetings around here is "Damn it, Mark." So
damn it, Mark. We won't say the whole word, but
I know that's okay. Well, our Fortnite streams get kind of crazy, so it's all good. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll lurk away, JT. Good to see you.
Good to see you there, buddy. JT Kirk.
Hell to the little ones, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the missus is here. Hello, Mrs.
Hello, Mrs.
Absolutely. The one that keeps me running.
We got the word put out on Twitter.
All righty. Thank you. And I put it out on Discords earlier. So thank you, sir. And it's our friend After Dark 2019. Hello to you. Good to see you again tonight.
Hey.
And Stunning and Brave Megatron is here. So this is one of our resident Transformer experts around here, Clobby.
Okay,
so he loves his Transformers. Yeah. So
I think it was the handle that gave it away.
Exactly. So, yeah, and there you go, JT Kirk. He gives you the unofficial pirated channel greeting, Clobby.
Damn it, Mark.
That's okay.
Mark deserves it.
I know,
rascal.
Especially, it's all cool, but especially when he starts creating little memes or the little videos of me putting on UFO and all that. That's hilarious. So, So make sure y'all follow us over on the Twitch side. We got 2 people over there. So follow us over there, like and subscribe on this YouTube side because we are at, last I checked, 428 subs on the YouTube side. So thank you, folks. I appreciate it. Y'all are the reason why I'm here, having fun doing it, and great people like Clobberin Times that have been great supporters. Let me come and hang with them and actually come on the shows and hang out and talk like we're going to have some fun tonight, Clobby.
Yes.
All right. And good. Yeah, keep coming. Invite your friends and neighbors and everything else. So, hey, we'll have some fun. So, but hey, man. So we talked pro football. Like I said, we had talked a little bit last year. One of the annual rituals that happens prior to the start of every football season is the induction ceremonies for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It does include historically more than just NFL players. You know, it is a Hall of Fame football player, Hall of Fame for football, pro football. But, you know, over the years, it's really become more of an NFL type thing. And you got your committees. We'll try to talk. I'll try to remember to bring up how that works a little bit more. But, Clobby, let's just start at a general thought looking back. You know, as a kid growing up, I remember the Hall of Fame induction was an event. It was like it kind of marked the start of, hey, football is almost here, because then you had training camps and stuff, and then the jackets. What are some of your early memories about the Hall of Fame? Not necessarily visiting it, but just what it meant for football.
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, my first memories of it really were probably just learning that. At a very young age, that the best players after a certain amount of time are enshrined in it. And I would watch a lot of NFL films where they were, showing players being inducted. And it was usually like the Saturday and Sunday or the weekend before the preseason of the NFL started each year. And I don't know if the ceremonies were that big a deal back when I was a kid. I don't know if they showed them I don't even think they showed them on network television. They may have.
I remember
got to see them that much.
I remember in the 70s, early 80s, they at least showed clips of them.
It was so clips,
yeah.
I mean,
you had the gold jacket.
I don't know what the coverage was like.
ABC Wild World of Sports, I think they showed them some a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, they showed Clifford. Yeah, they did, and NFL Films did as well. But I don't know if it's quite the same way the coverage is right now. But I just knew that. Well, that's all the best players eventually are voted into that, of course. And then over the years, they started with the NFL Hall of Fame game, which marked the beginning of the preseason. And we played that weekend. It would play that Sunday. Actually, we played the Sunday after the. I guess Saturday would be the ceremonies, and Sunday would be the game. And I remember it used to be on Sunday nights, Sunday afternoon, whatever it was. So yeah, but that's pretty much it as far as the actual. If you're talking about just Hall of Fame day or the induction day, of course.
It was always cool seeing those gold jackets. So it's like the Masters. The Masters had the green jackets, but seeing those gold jackets with them there, It was a big party, big event, dinners, all this stuff. But what really jumped out to me was it kind of like meant football is here. Because when I was younger, I really loved that Hall of Fame game because it was just it marked the return of football you could watch. Now, of course, as I get older,
you get older, you go to a preseason game where nobody's going to play in it.
Yeah.
And back then though, look, there was a long time when there were six preseason games, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
So yeah, but
full price. You're still paying the full price as a fan going to it.
Oh yeah, you're getting charged for it. Yeah. But and if you played in the Hall of Fame game, you played 7.
Oh man, yeah.
At that time, remember, Hall of Fame game, was the week before the normal start of the preseason. So now I don't know how many preseasons we got now, like 4 still, or
they
have longer and more regular season games. So
yeah, I think it's still 4. I think
it might still be 4.
Years they dropped it to 3, but that was that really weird year. But I think it's still at 4. But it's still too many games because what you end up having is at least 3 of the games. One game the starters play about 3 quarters. a game they might get half, but then 2 games the starters really don't even play at all. So you just
Yeah.
and you're just like, So hey, B from O, welcome in. Good to see you.
Hey.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, but it's a big deal. I mean, it's the ultimate that any individual achievement that any player can. Obviously, the most important is becoming a champion. But if you didn't, but you had a great career in the NFL, then 5 years after you leave the league, you're eligible to be voted in to immortality, to where you will be enshrined at Canton, Ohio, with a bust and a gold jacket, and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm just going to take a look, tell some people about what the Hall of Fame is. Basically from their website. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame is a museum and attraction that opened in 1963 as the home of all things professional football. It's to pay tribute to the talents and triumph of pro football's greatest legends, according to its website. What exactly, as Clobby mentioned, is located in Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the NFL. Which the league itself was. I do not know what a Hup Mobile is, but apparently the league was founded at a Hup Mobile dealership in Canton in 1920 as the American Professional Football Association, later renamed the National Football League. So, I don't know. Do you know what a Hup Mobile is? Because
it was. It's a form of automobile, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's got to be, but I've never heard that. I wonder if it's a crank one. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, the NFL chose Canton as a site for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1961. It's home to the Canton Bulldogs.
Yep, Canton Bulldogs.
Early pro football power that featured the sport's first superstar, Jim Thorpe.
That's right.
Yep, ground was broken for the original Hall of Fame construction on August 11th, 1962, officially opened on September 7th, 1963.
2 years. They started building it 2 years before I was born, and it was ready to go a year before I was born. Wow.
It has since undergone multiple expansions and celebrated a complete renovation of its on-site field, the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, in 2016.
Named after Tom Benson, former owner of the New Orleans Saints.
Exactly. I remember when the Jaguars...
60 years old, dude. It's 60, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. Yes, it is. I remember when years ago in the 80s when Jacksonville was trying to court Tom Benson and the Saints to come.
I remember it well.
Town. It was like either the Colts or the Saints, and it was just like, but they, Jacksonville, which eventually got the Jaguars, was kind of the proverbial bargaining chip by the NFL for many, many years to get a new stadium deal.
Yeah.
Wherever they were.
Yeah.
But have you ever visited the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
I have. In 2012, in 2015, I'm a pretty single loner type of a guy, so I decided every year I went to Dragon Con at Labor Day weekend for my vacation, so-called vacation. But this year I wanted to do something different, so I took a little bit earlier time off. I rented a car. I drove by myself up to Metropolis, Illinois, to visit the Superman Museum, which is a wonderful place for Superman fans.
Oh, wow.
And it's really great. And it was a good time of year because there was nobody really there for it. And this was like at the beginning of the week before, like just that end of the week leading up towards Labor Day weekend. So it was burning hot, of course. And just so happens some friends of mine who happened to be going somewhere else the night before noted when I said I was going to go to the Superman Museum. They said, "We're going to. What time are you going to be there?" Oh, really? So I got to hang out with some friends who were there. So I didn't go to the Superman Museum on my own. But then, right after I got done with that, late in the day, I decided to. My next leg of my trip was I would drive about 10. I think it was like 10 hours or so to Canton, Ohio, from Metropolis, Illinois. And of course, because I've always wanted, bucket list is huge, but I've always wanted to go to the NFL Hall of Fame. I decided that when the first New Orleans Saint got in there, I was going to go. Well, that was 2010, and we had a bunch of us who were going to plan to go, but one of us on the team that was planning to go ended up having unknown at the time when we planned, his marriage was wedding night that day. We like, oh man, we have to go to his wedding. We're not going to get to go to the Hall of Fame. It was a big trip too. When Ricky Jackson, the first New Orleans Saint, was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the very first one. So we didn't get to do that. So years later, I took it upon myself. I went there. Again, this is like this. This is the end of summer, or this is the end of August. Very hot. Nothing going on, to speak of. No big, events or anything. I went there 1:00 in the afternoon on I think it was a Wednesday, and hung out there for hours, and there was very few people in the thing. It's like $35 to get in there, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I just, man, which was the way I wanted it. I hoped it would turn out that way, because I could just walk through there for hours, just read everything,
right?
Look at all the stuff, because I love NFL history, and it was a treat. I really, really enjoyed. I still want to go back, by the way. At that point, we already had two New Orleans Saints in, so in addition to going to look at all the busts and upstairs in the hall, I got to see those, Ricky Jackson and Willie Roaf. And went up to this thing they got up there called the Super Bowl Experience, which is a big theater. You go in it, and they would play like a big highlights, fast-moving, flashy highlights package of the previous year's Super Bowl. At that point, it was it was the one where Pete Carroll didn't run the ball and got beat by the Patriots.
Okay.
Seahawks, and which was funny because there were some Seahawks fans. There weren't many people there, but I saw a couple Seahawks fans there. Inside there, I said, "You guys not want to watch this."
Yeah, bad memories.
There was and walking out of there, one of the last things you see, there's John Madden football exhibit. It has all the John Madden video games.
Oh wow! Okay.
And all the football video games, which you could play and mess around with. Stuff is pretty cool. And of course, cool. So that was a lot of fun. And after I left that, I went on my next leg on my journey. I went to I got some sleep at a hotel. Then I went to Dragon Con for the rest of that weekend and hung out with some friends. But that was getting to see the Superman Museum and the NFL Hall of Fame. Two big things off the bucket list, but I still want to go back to both of them right now.
I understand.
I'd go right back. And when Drew Brees, even though he broke my heart and pissed me off a lot, Drew Brees is, of course, last year when he quit, he became eligible, and he's what we call a Hall of Fame first balloter. He'll be first ballot. So about 2-3 years from now, when he's going in to get his gold jacket, I'm going. I hope.
Good for you. Yeah. I think
a lot of New Orleans is going, by the way. A lot of New Orleans will be there.
I'm sure they will be. I guess Joe Burrow might be the next one, but he's
got a long way. Got a long career.
I know that, but it's funny to hear about what you say with the Saints, the people down there with Cincinnati.
Good Lord,
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Drew Brees is definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
First balloter.
That's good. So Ricky Jackson, what year was that again that he was inducted?
He went in 2010.
Okay. I find it interesting.
Way late. A lot of players are very late to get in.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about a little bit about some miss.
Some still aren't in that belong in there,
and some miss it. Then they have a senior committee. I'm going to try to talk about that a little bit as a way to catch it up in case there's obvious people that were skipped. But when did Jackson play? If he was inducted around 2010, how long?
Ricky Jackson played from around 1980. I want to say 3 or 4 when he was drafted out of the University of Pittsburgh. Dan Marino, for example.
Okay.
Dan Marino played there. Yeah. And Tony Dorsett. So that's pretty, a couple of big names out of there. A couple of Hall of Famers already out of there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so he was came to the New Orleans Saints and became, at the time throughout the 80s, we had the Saints were finally getting good. And they had what they call the Dome Patrol. They had the 4 best linebackers in football. And he was the outside linebacker. He was the Lawrence Taylor. In fact, if he played in New York, he would have almost got this. I'm not saying he was better than Lawrence Taylor, but you know who did say he was better than Lawrence Taylor?
Who?
Bill Parcells, only to piss off Lawrence Taylor. Not because he was better, because Ricky was great, but Lawrence Taylor was a monster. Right. However, Ricky was really good. He was close as you can get to him at the time, and he used to say shit to Taylor to piss him off, like, "Hey man, Ricky Jackson down in New Orleans could do that way better than you. He did this, he did this last week." And Ricky Jackson though was a freak. He was great. One of the best. I mean, the thing is, he wasn't just an edge rusher. He could come in and play middle. He played the run better than just about any linebacker. And in 1990, 1, I think, the Saints did something never done before. We had a 3-4 defense, and we put all 4 of our linebackers in the Pro Bowl. That's never happened before or since. And the NFL Network, their show they did a few years ago called Top 10. We did Top 10 linebacker core. Number 1 was the Dome Patrol, the Saints. Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, and Pat Swilling.
I remember Pat Swilling. Yeah,
Pat was a great edge rusher. Vaughn Johnson and Sam Mills was the field mouse.
Sam Mills,
we lost him, passed away so early. One of the great middle linebackers who could read offenses and just a signal caller. He was like a quarterback on defense, coach on the field. Vaughn Johnson was a big bruiser.
And that's a key position because you got to have that position calling out the defenses, make sure people are lined up and set. They read the audibles. You know, a lot of communication. It's not an easy position to play.
That defense kept them in every game. We had a very low scoring offense because it was more like a Jim Mora conservative ball control offense.
Oh gosh,
good, but the only sin of the Saints of that era, when they got really good in the late 80s, early 90s, was that they happened to exist at the wrong time because they existed, during the Montana 49ers and the Redskins of that era and the Giants and the Cowboys. They just, they were good, but not good enough.
Timing kills you. I was asking about timing too about Ricky Jackson because I know it's interesting it took so long because I know that several teams do not have a player in the Hall of Fame, but big thing was a lot of Jaguars people wanted Tony Baselli in, and finally he got in last year, I believe. But he still didn't have to wait nearly as long, I think, as Ricky Jackson.
Ricky waited a long time, man. But at least Ricky got a Super Bowl ring because his last couple of seasons he was picked up to go to San Francisco, and he got one of those Super Bowls. So,
well, let me go back to our chat real quick a little bit. Snorpoopus comes in with the Hup Mobile was an automobile built from 1909 to 1939 by the Hup Motor Car Company of Detroit. This is brought to you by Snortopedia, your go-to site for useless information.
It was useful. It was very useful, Snorty.
Very useful. And the missus come in, she had looked it up about the same thing. And then, of course, Snortopoopus, they stole it from his site. That's too funny. Exactly. I know Snortopoopus knows his stuff. It's great to have him around in the history knowledge there he's got. One of the things that we mentioned is we talk about that NFL players are in it, but it's called the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not the NFL Hall of Fame. So
there's a reason for that.
And their website says that it was established to honor the legacies of all participants in professional football, covering the NFL, the leagues that preceded the NFL, and those that have existed outside of the NFL.
Right.
So part of it's in order to preserve the history of the game and advance it further. So that way you don't just call it NFL. Yeah, well, go ahead if you got a comment on that.
No, that's exactly right. There were some other leagues, and it, of course, in a lot of instances of human history is written by the winners. So NFL is the winner right now. So yes, they are very, I guess, I don't know, magnanimously mention and chronicle what happened with those other leagues that they pretty much trounced, and then end up like, for example, they do have, if I remember correctly, a couple little sections in there in the hall. It's a big hall, man, like multiple stories. It's really big, really beautiful place. If you're an NFL buff, you got to go there. Yeah. And anyway, it's got but it shows like it shows histories. And it definitely covers all of the other leagues and all the other types of stuff that went on. It's really thorough about that. So, yeah. Again, it's funny how close we came to there being. If the AFL had not and the NFL had not merged, I have to wonder what would have happened. They might have destroyed each other. So, I'm glad they merged. And then they became the NFL. But before that, they still chronicled the old AFL.
Yeah, exactly. So, you think. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in our time period, so we start to presume or label it specifically. But there's so much there because you remember the NFL was not the NFL as we know it now. It used to the AFL NFL merger. That was the big thing I think before what that gave us the modern NFL. with the two leagues that were existed then come together to form one league.
Yep. But
Yeah.
there was some leagues before that too.
Oh yeah.
The All-American Football League.
Yeah. What about the World? Was the World League of American Football? That was a competitive league, though.
Well, in the 70s, it was the World Football League, which lasted maybe like a year or two. I mean, it was really a couple of big stars like Larry Zonka and Jim Kick went there, but they didn't say it was a joke. I think even Stabler went for a short time, and it was a mess. They went out of business. I mean, they couldn't even last a season or two, from what I remember. And then there was obviously the USFL, of course, the World League. There was a farm league called the World League of American Football, the World, whatever. That had two of it. I think it tried twice.
Yeah.
One of them became pretty much basically the NFL owned it, like a farm league.
Right. And then you had the competitive league, the competitor leagues like the USFL,
XFL. USFL was the first USFL was in the 80s.
Yeah, I love that though. So that was a great
time
league.
Players. Hey, some big time NFL players played in the USFL first.
Well, look at one of the Hall of Famers, Steve Young, signed that huge contract with LA Express, and
Kelly, Steve Young, Reggie White, Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
Doug Flutie played in Canada.
Yeah, and I think Flutie had a season or two in the USFL, but yeah, Flutie really did well in Canada.
You got to hand it to the Canadian League because they're the only ones that didn't get sucked up by the NFL. They still to this day have their own league that's nothing to do with the NFL, other than a couple players played for both leagues, including of course the great Warren Moon.
Exactly. I was just about to say that name too, who went north of the border and came back down.
Edmonton Oilers or whatever, Edmonton.
Eskimos. They were, well, at least at the time they were the Eskimos. I don't know if they've had to change names.
Oilers are something different. And he's the Eskimos.
Yeah. So
and he threw for something like 10,000 yards before he came into the NFL.
Yes.
Stupid man. So
I know. It's really, really good. And I tell you that it's better to play some football than no football. You get your reps and everything else. And the people, like last year, I had Raymond Canuck on talking college football, but that he's Canadian, and that's a big thing. Three downs. You got 3 downs to make 10 yards for your first down. It's a little bit more of a challenge than when you get 4 downs. So, exactly. So, what happens for selection is the Pro Football Hall of Fame has a committee, one media representative from each football city. Of course, 2 from New York and Los Angeles, as those cities are home to 2 NFL teams, up to 17 at-large selectors who are active media, as well as 1 representative of the Pro Football Writers of America. So they don't have a set number of enshrinees, but there are certain rules that they follow with selection. So according to the Pro Football Hall of Fame's website, any fan may nominate any player, coach, or contributor who has been connected with pro football simply by writing to the Hall of Fame at the address. That's kind of funny. Just hey, you can nominate anybody you want to there. Hey, how about Bum Phillips's?
Yeah. I think you may have to have been involved in the league with somehow, but other than that,
I don't know. Well, looking at this literally, we'll see what happens. But
I love Bum, but I don't think he belongs to the Hall of Fame.
No, I know. It's just he's the only one I could think of. But Ricky Williams, how about that Texas running back that Mike Dick traded the whole draft for?
Whole draft. Oh my God, dude, that was a crazy ass, dumb. That day, man, I'm like, are you absolutely shiting me?
That was worse than the Herschel Walker deal.
Oh, way worse. Way worse.
Oh, that was horrible. So each year the selection committee is polled multiple times before a final list of nominees is determined. They have a first vote, reduces the list down to a semi-finalist group of about 24. Then it's narrowed down to about 15 modern era finalists. There's also 3 recommended nominees from the Hall's coach, contributor, and senior committees. So then an annual in-person meeting before the Super Bowl. So always your Super Bowl weekend. You're going to have where the vote happens, and uh, they before the Super Bowl, the selection committee meets, whittles it down through a discussion of each finalist. Ultimately, a finalist must receive at least 80% approval from the committee members to be elected into the Hall of Fame. Currently, there are 362 members enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That will increase with 371 with this year's ceremony, where eight coaches, 8 players, and a coach will be inducted. Now, Clobby, I don't know if words, okay. Growing up, I always heard about induction. These people were inducted into the Hall of Fame, but now they're using the word enshrine or enshrining the players. They say it, the two terms have similar meanings, but this takes on a more, I guess, a different meaning using the word enshrined versus inducted. Do you see much of a difference?
Well, yeah, I guess inducted means they are being means the matter of the proceedings. We're now inducting them in, and then once they're in, they're enshrined. So they've inducted. They're being like these guys this week. They're being inducted this week into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and then of course later the guys already in there have been enshrined in the Football Hall of Fame. Yes, sir.
Yes, and as Clobby had said earlier, they'll have their likeness in a bust.
Bronze bust. Yep.
Bust for every member. They'll be measured for the gold jackets, custom made by Hagar, and officially presented during the Gold Jacket Dinner held annually at the Canton Civic Center on the eve of the enshrinement. So that is tonight. Then I would imagine.
It's probably Saturday.
Well,
the dinner. You're right. The dinner is tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and the enshrinement's tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, the enshrinement, the festivities. You're right. Sorry, yeah,
right.
The ceremonies. Yeah.
Yep. So let's see. What I will do is say the 9 members that are inducted this year, and we'll take a look a little closer in detail. But I will bring them up real quick so we can see them together, and we will look at them together in just a moment.
Absolutely.
All righty. So, and we got it here. Whoa,
right,
hello.
cool.
What happened with that one? Uh-oh. That's not me. Let me just make sure we got this here. Ooh. it's glitching again. I don't know what's happened. My monitor's fine. It just StreamYards is acting weird. All right. Well, let me just read for now. Let me just read it for now so we don't.
If you want to pull it up, try.
It's kind of going and coming out. Let me just hold it down. I'll bring them up individually a little bit later.
Class of 2013.
Yeah, if you can find it. Yeah, if you can find it on your side, that would be cool. Yeah, the Autobots are attacking. Yeah, I didn't want to cause anybody any problems with that flashing strobing. It's like that was. I mean, it was normal on my monitor, but obviously it did not like it in the stream. So as Clobby pulls them up, then we will look at them together.
There we go. All right. Wait a second.
All right.
Come on. Just give me a list. Don't give me a stupid video. I don't want a video.
I know, Clobby. It's just the list.
Idiots.
I know.
It's one of the list, butt munch.
There we go. Well, let me try it one more time. Let me see. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. All right. All right. We'll pull you.
Okay. Want to share it?
Yep. Go ahead.
All righty then.
All right. Okay, it's there. All right. Streaming. Hey. All right.
All right. So what shall we cover it?
We'll cover it. We'll go ahead and just introduce them briefly, and I'll talk more about them in a little bit. But hey, you got 8 players: Rondé Barber, Chuck Halley, Joe Klecko, Darrell Rivas. See, I can't believe it. Just seems like he just retired. Ken Riley, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, and DeMarcus Ware.
All right.
And we have, what's that, Clobby?
No, go ahead.
And we have one coach in there, which is Don Coryell.
I'd like to comment on these if I may.
You can do it now. We'll hit them later whenever you want to
Oh,
talk about them.
well, yeah, just briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Rondé Barber. Sometimes I wonder if we're not talking about the Hall of Very Good, but okay. Rondé Barber, I guess I can buy into. Don Coryell, certainly. This guy created offenses that have been used by some of the biggest, he was so far ahead of his time.
Yes.
Some of the stuff he did, they started using a lot, especially the passing era that now you can throw the ball all day long. And all the stuff you're seeing, the guys like, Mike Martz and Sean Payton and a lot of the things that they're being used even in Tom Brady's offenses and stuff like that. So much of that came from Don Coryell. Even some of the stuff John Shula started using for Dan Marino to wreck up all those zillions, thousands of yards that he threw.
Could you imagine what he would have been like with the offensive rules now?
All he needed was a defense.
Yeah, exactly. But could you imagine how much more his offenses would have been with the modern day protect the quarterbacks, don't touch the receivers? And,
we don't have to imagine it. We've seen it with all these other ones.
Yes,
we've seen it with all what you're seeing now. Yeah. It's a lot of this comes from Coryell. Yeah, so obviously there are other coaches as well, but he's with Eric Coryell, and of course, if he had a defense, those Chargers would have won a couple of Super Bowls with Dan Fouts.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Howley definitely belongs, and he is, of course, again, way overdue. This is the only man in Super Bowl history to win MVP on the losing side of a football game.
Yeah,
say again, impressive. The only player ever to be the MVP of a Super Bowl that his team lost.
Now that was the loss to the Colts, right?
Yes, Super Bowl 5.
Okay, all right.
So,
dang,
Joe Klecko, you got 2 Jets in a row here. Joe Klecko was a really good football player. I mean, they don't put bad football players in Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
really good, solid top player. Hall of Fame level. I'll give him okay.
Yeah.
Darrelle Revis. Not going to give too much guff over this one either, only because the guy played in an era where passing is so ridiculously lax. Passing rules. It's tough to be a cornerback in this league. So to stand out, any corner in this era to stand out for as long as he did, I'm not going to give him too much slack on that.
Right.
Not even going to argue with Ken Riley. He should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ken Riley a little bit later.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Joe Thomas. Really great football player. I mean, very recent. He's very recent. So as a lot of these guys are. So I guess it's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go all right with Joe. I guess I'm not. You can see, I'm not that super excited about a lot of these guys. Zach Thomas, really, really good football player, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Who am I to say? I'm just not like super excited about him. He's fine. DeMarcus Ware, same deal. Great football player. Is he Hall of Fame level? There's so many better, but again, they're a little recent for me, but okay. So now I'm sorry that I just wanted to get some comments on some of those guys.
No. I'm glad you did.
I'm good. So
okay, we're going to talk about it a little bit more too in a bit. But basically, this week we'll have it. We talked about the dinner. There'll be a parade, a youth football camp, a fashion show. Oh, that's great for the NFL. Autograph sessions, like I said, a grand parade, and a concert featuring the Zach Brown Band. So it's a big party week, folks, up in Canton. And I'm sure it's one of those things your local economy loves you for. And
talk about crowded.
Oh,
I'm glad I went at a time that nobody gave a crap about.
Exactly. Let's see. I like studying. It's kind of ironic. Bald dude's now his name is Barber, of course. So, and JT Kirk. Now, see, I don't really remember that because I was a bit younger. Yeah, formations are a big creative. But all I wanted to say was, and I'll let you talk to that specific. What I do remember is he transformed the game watching it, because everybody talked differently about the Chargers. You had Washington and New York run the ball. Dallas was kind of my thing because, hey, shotgun and a little edgy, but it was not like San Diego. San Diego, when you saw a broadcast, they were like considered not necessarily a freak team, but they were different because they were talking about the throwing, the open attack. Eric Coryell was what they were called. Go ahead, Clobby.
Well, he started before San Diego. He was with the Cardinals before that, St. Louis. And almost at a time when almost every team was ball control, set up the pass with the run, smash mount, 3 yards, Florida does type stuff.
Yeah.
He came in and frequently, they called it Eric Coryell for a reason. He frequently, whereas some teams would want 1 speed receiver, he always put 3 out there. He rarely ran 2 receiver sets. And when he did, it was always had to make sure he had receiver tight ends. He was a guy that didn't want a blocking tight end as much as he wanted a receiving tight end. He made sure that he always brought in backs that could catch the football out of the backfield more. In other words, every weapon he had, every skill position weapon he had on the field, he didn't have just a running back. A running back had to be able to go deep. He believed in sending running backs deep. He believed in streak offense more than any coach really at the time. And that was when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals throughout the 70s, where Jim Hart ringed up a bunch of yards. And the only thing is, Jim Hart was good. Problem is, the defenses couldn't keep him in all the games. The only reason why Don Coryell, you don't hear about Super Bowls, because he played at a time. Remember, he was in the league at a time when Tom Landry and Bud Grant and Chuck Knox, you had the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Rams had better defenses throughout that course. He had an offense that could play with all of them, and when he was with the Cardinals. So he goes over to the AFC with the Chargers and does the same thing and gets Dan Fouts, who was a far better passer than Jim Hart. And he's got this guy, his key was getting wide receivers and, of course, Kellen Winslow, who was a great receiver tight end. So he created long streak offense, and where you don't just have like 1 or 2 top receivers. The Steelers had the steel curtain, and then they did have Stallworth and Swan, but that's it. Everything else was smash mouth. Every skill position was a speedster that could catch and run. And every pass was a long stretch pass up the sideline. Everything was he created the offenses that stretched defenses out that you hear about all the time. And that broke open for runs as well. So, he's one that introduced doing that so much that eventually people started copying him. And that's why eventually, even though that's why when Dan Marino came along, he was hanging the ball down the field so much. Why do you think that came from? Don Shula was a run for.
Yes.
Don Shula won championships with running backs and throwing the football 9 times. When he got Dan Marino, he saw, well, look, I can bring in an Eric Coryell type offense, and this guy will throw for a bazillion yards, and he did.
And remember back then too, the defenses were like designed to stop running. 4-3s, 5-2s. Because of the running cloud of dust offenses, and this forced people to have to change. Now we have 5 or 6 defensive back for defensive sets now because of these modern.
Eric Coryell is why you have first the rules changed when they made the Mel Blanc rule where you couldn't hit a defenseless receiver after 5 yards, and then he created defenses. He changed defenses because they had to start, like you said, all the dime back, nickel back stuff started really becoming in vogue because of Eric Coryell and all the people trying to copy what he was doing. He changed the game.
Exactly. Let me say hello to Small Time Republic. Good to see you tonight.
Hey.
Sir. Tiki Barber would have been in Hall of Fame. His brother hadn't retired the year before the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Probably so.
Yes. Oh, shoot. And then Mrs. says hello. And JT Kirk says he must have created absolute havoc sending that many downfield. He did because, like I said, you go in a formation.
Single coverage every time.
Yeah, you got 4 defensive backs. Back then, you played 5-4-3-4. 4-3-4, 5-2-4. You had 4. You didn't want linebackers on these guys. Are too slow. And
this is what the chess game is all about, because to prove that he had a choice. He could have gone for a more balanced football team and may have had success here and there. He decided to put all of his chips on offense and put all the big money on his offensive skill players and linemen, and he skimped on defense a little bit because he didn't have much of a choice. And therefore, his defenses. I mean, he would score 40 points, and his defenses still almost lost games for him.
Yeah.
You'd have to. So you got to choose. Well, he decided, I'm going to go out there and just score the crap out of everything. If you do that, you're going to whip most people, but you're still going to have. You're going to get in the playoffs, but you're still going to beat yourself up a lot. You're going to run yourself down through the course of the season, and eventually you're going to get outscored, even when you're a scoring machine, because your defense can't keep you in games enough. But he had to do something. You only have so many resources back then, or even now.
Yep.
And so he decided to do it on offense. And
now we have salary caps and stuff.
Right.
Salary caps and other things you have to do. If you're going to overpay one side of the ball, you're going to pay on the other side.
It's just that he had only have so many weapons in the can.
Yep.
And
exactly.
It got him a lot of success, and they just didn't quite make it because, again, they just came close, man. But he couldn't. Yeah. And that's another thing. He won that incredible game in Miami where Fouts went down. Fouts went down there with Kellen Winslow.
And Winslow had to be carried off the field. Yeah.
Well, the next week they were so spent they had to go to Cincinnati and below freezing. Yeah. And they couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
Or the Chargers would have been in the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah. Exactly. That can happen. I think we saw that last year in the college national championship because Georgia barely beat Ohio State. Texas Christian smashed Michigan, but then the next week when Georgia played TCU, they just crushed them. TCU, it's like they spent everything the previous week, and just were no match in that game. So that says a lot, because I tell you that Florida Heat will take it out of you. If you ever been in the South with the Heat. You don't just get over it after a day or two.
Past 2 days with you. I've been out a lot in the heat the past 2 days, and I don't want to go anywhere tomorrow.
I don't blame you. I've been inside. At least we've had rain to cool things down. We went out earlier, and the rain actually did not make it muggy, believe it or not. So we got 9 people here with us. Woo-hoo! Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure you hit that like button, sub if you haven't. We're on the march to 450, but I don't know. We're going somewhere. We're about to celebrate our anniversary coming up in about 2 weeks. So, but hey, love having a great guy like Clobberin Times here with us. So let's do something a little fun before we take one more look at the players again real quick. Teams with the most Hall of Famers. All right. Who do you think? Let's see. I forgot to run a poll tonight. It's too late to run a poll tonight. But let's take a look at this. Who would you think had what team, Clobby? And if you're in chat, what team do you think would have the most Hall of Famers in the Super Bowl?
I'm going to take a stab at it.
And feel free in chat if y'all want to guess too.
I wanted to say the Cowboys, but it might be the Raiders. Or the Dolphins. I mean, you got me. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we will get to that. But y'all in the chat, you what's that?
You give me a hint if you want.
Your favorite draft. How about let's say that? Small town Republic, Bengals Charger game, Clyde mentioned -9 and windy. No. Yeah. Remember the coach who was part of that draft you talked about? In the history of that coach? Yeah. Hello, Jeremy. Good to see you tonight. JT Kirk, not the Lions. Yeah, you remember we talked about that draft where he traded the whole draft away? Oh. Yeah. Think about him.
It would be the Bears, really, huh?
Buffalo's the guess. Well, we will see. But hey, let's start off. It's okay. It's all good. We're having fun. I wish my friend Daisy Blossom was here tonight. I know she's dealing with some stuff tonight, but hey, she'd love this. The top 10, the 10th team with 16 players in the Hall of Fame, the San Francisco 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, of course. Okay, let's have some controversy. Okay, let's kick this pig a little bit, and it kind of bothers me seeing somebody like Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame. Granted, on the field he could change a game, but I still think you could argue he may have done a lot for a short period of time. But did he really do it for an extended period of time? Did he really? Is it one of those that he really deserved it?
Now, which team did he go in under? When
I believe he went
as a 49er.
I believe he did. I'd have to double check that, but
I guess that's where he played longest.
Yeah, the way the article's written is that he went under as San Francisco. So I'm presuming this to be
Well,
right.
I'll tell you who belongs in there that isn't. There's a 49er that's not in, and it says crime, and that's Roger Craig. He belongs in there way before
Oh man.
Terrell Owens.
Oh yeah, he talked. Yeah, that was Mr. San Francisco, the running back. He was really solid, and oh man, yeah, you're right about that. That's another one that should have been in there. And
More
folks,
than that,
I tell you what, folks, as we're talking and discussing, feel free to tell us if there's some people we mentioned with these teams that you think should be in. Tell us if you think there's some that don't deserve to be in. Let's have some
Roger
fun
Craig
with this.
belongs in there. I mean, yeah, he's the first player. There you go. First player to have 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 passing yards in a single season, and nobody else did that for like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And not many people ever done that.
Nope. It's
Roger Craig was just because of one stupid fumble. They're holding against him. He had a fumble that cost him a playoff game, but
crap. Well, that's kind of like what happened to Jackie Smith with Dallas. I mean, he's not Hall of Fame, but just
he's in Hall of Fame, isn't he?
But
Hall of Fame. But he's in the Hall of Fame for St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly. You get it in different ways, but I tell you what, I hated that guy as a Cowboy fan for so long. It's like, but it took more than that one play to lose the game. So, and started poop us out with the Bears. So, hey. All right, so let's go ahead. So 10th with San Francisco 49ers, and I tell you what, one that I was surprised by was Steve Young, because people held it against him being a left-handed quarterback. Folks, left-handers were not quarterback. It's kind of like left-handed catchers. You just don't. It was kind of a freak of nature type thing, but his size and all that, they questioned his ability to play at the NFL level, but he came and adjusted.
That there have been probably less than 50 left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL since it's been 100 years.
Yep.
Less than 40 something maybe.
And I think the only I remember Young Stabler was a lefty.
Young and Stabler.
Yeah. Okay.
Both got Super Bowls.
Yep.
Boomer Esiason was pretty good. Most of them weren't very good.
Well, number 9 is the Cleveland Browns. Hey.
It's a little shocking. Consider what they've been for the past 40 years.
Yeah. Well, I like what this article says. The Browns' gleaming success in the early years contradicts the inept next 30 years. So 5 of their 17 Hall of Famers retired before the NFL-AFL merger, including legends Otto Graham and Jim Brown.
Yep.
So I remember Ozzie Newsome playing. The other two I don't remember.
Was great.
I remember Ozzie Newsome was great. I had his card years ago. And Jim Brown, unfortunately, I never saw Jim Brown play, but I did see him in Dirty Dozen and some movies. So
I've seen plenty of highlights. He was the best.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But 17, huh? I'd like to see that list.
Yeah.
I know.
All right.
I mean,
let me see. Well, okay. Let me pull this down. Let me do this real quick since you asked. We got some time. And I'll see if I can pull up the 17. Yeah, because I mean, we got time. Let's look at it real quick. I have to be quick. I'm learning how to multitask, so Clobby. It's always good 17? To test me. 17. So let me see if I can find it. So let's see. Man. Well, I will make sure.
Because it seems like since Ozzy was probably the latest, and that's in the 70s and 80s, I can't imagine who would that many. I know obviously Jeff Brown and Otto Graham, Marion Motley has got to be on there, of course.
Yeah, I don't know because a lot of that would definitely predate me. I wonder. Let's see. Okay. Well, the ClevelandBrowns.com, this other list could have been outdated. I thought it was the most updated, but we're going to use this still. We're going to stick with it for the list I've got for the purpose of what we're doing. But according to ClevelandBrowns.com, there are 18. So we're going to use this for discussion purposes, other article, but hey, we can definitely look here. This is the 18. So Let's see.
Weird.
Okay, the other numbers look right. The other numbers look right according to this, but they claim 18.
Okay.
So let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. All right, so here we go. All right, so you got
Jim
crap.
Brown. Paul Brown makes
Jim
sense.
Brown, yeah. Joe DeLamiere, Len Ford, Frank Gatsky, Otto Graham, Luke Rosa. That's a name.
That makes some sense. Yeah.
That's a kicker. Gene
Among other
Hickerson.
things.
Yeah, yeah. Back when the kickers had to do actually
Bobby
work.
Mitchell went in as that. He was also with the Redskins, though.
Oh wow. See, the only two that
Very Motley.
the only two that I remember playing Joe
Bill
Thomas and
Thomas.
Ozzie Newsome, but I remember the names Warfield, Luke
Warfield.
Rosa,
I
and
thought
Jim Brown.
I thought Warfield went as a Dolphin.
He could have been. Remember, this is the Cleveland Browns site, so that might be why we have 17 on one list and they're claiming 18.
We're double dipping on some stuff. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But see that there you go.
Fine.
But those are the names. I mean, like you said, is like who would they? Because they all happen in the retro era, I would call it, not in the modern era. So, but yes, exactly. So that's
Who else we
that.
got?
So, like the article did say, since 1980, they've only had 3: Ozzie Newsome, DeLamiere, and Max Speedy. So, JT Kirk says John Elway and Marshall Faulk are 2 that I think of Hall of Fame might be too weak to be in the Hall.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You're not serious. You're not serious, JT. John Elway? Marshall Faulk?
Oh, well, listen, I don't like Elway, so I won't, as a Cowboys fan, I won't disagree with
like or not
Elway, but
I
do not.
Look at all the comebacks he had before. Forget his 2 Super Bowl rings, and I'm not going to forget those. Look how long he played. Look at his unbelievable stats.
And Marshall Faulk, though.
Look at the comebacks alone. Marshall Faulk, look at the number. Right. Come on.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk definitely, with the age of the running back positions, really fading out to running backs by committees is one of the last of those. Oh gosh, yeah.
No, I mean it's no big deal, but I was like, it'd be like it's almost as close to saying, you know what, that Joe Montana was a little overrated. Oh, come on, I hate Montana. He used to beat my team all the time.
I know. That's good. But hey, I love it. JT's out there. JT
knows I love him, and I feel bad for him because he's a Lions fan. You don't make fun of Lions fans; you just be sad for him.
You know what? I feel really sad for the Lions fans because of last year, the way it ended. They had a good. They won the last game, ruined Green Bay's, but they still couldn't make the playoffs because of being. It just was like, to be over 500 finally, and you miss out on the playoffs.
I always root for the Lions.
I do too, especially on Thanksgiving Day. But it seems like they'll always lose that game on Thanksgiving Day. But that's another thing is, should they even be on Thanksgiving Day? But people
they are.
I mean, I agree. I like them and Dallas, the 2 teams that should be. Yep. I'm not sure about the NFL night games, but that's a different issue. So, all right, number 8. Number 8, we have the Las Vegas Raiders or Oakland last.
I thought the Raiders would have been higher than that.
Nope, they have 17. They've had 26 that have been nominated.
Wow.
So it could grow, but basically the list includes Howie Long, Tim Brown, Marcus Allen, and Dave Casper. And, of course, Tom Flores was in as a coach.
Kenny Stabler, John Madden. Now, and Al Davis.
Yep. The owners.
Lyle Alcedo and George Blanda and Fred Biletnikoff. Clip Branch just made it. It took them forever to put Stabler in there.
No, I didn't know that. No, we've got I know the Raiders, especially in the 80s, a lot of those guys made the Hall of Fame. But also Dallas Cowboys come in at 7th. See, this is one that I was surprised. Now, see, they're apparently all these should be in a tied position, but with 19, see, then they I'm sorry, I don't like this article because to me they bastardized it when they were their focus on this little clip was the new guys in the 90s, Aikman, Emmett, and Irvin. And granted, but those Cowboys, I don't like this article already because it's like, why don't you talk about the guys in the 70s and 80s that made the team what it was? Because one of the articles that I read, do you know what game had the most Hall of Famers in it at one time on the field?
Was it Super Bowl 13 or something?
It was a Dallas Pittsburgh
Dallas.
Super Bowl 35-31.
Yeah, 14 was it?
Uh,
Super
I just
Bowl 13 or 14?
it's just all I
Yeah,
remember is the Cowboys
it
lost a
had
game where they could have won it.
it had Hall of Fame. It had Hall of Fame coaches and Hall of Fame players all over the place.
All over the place. Then we got the Los Angeles Rams.
That figures.
Yep, 19. Well, I'm kind of surprised by this because I don't really think of them as great in terms of NFL history.
Higher than Dallas surprises me, but up there doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Marshall Faulk, Orlando Bruce, Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce. In terms of the new days, the greatest show on turf. Again, another team that's been in multiple cities. And I guess they're technically the San Diego Rams in a way, but I don't. But hey, your favorite term, the Washington football team, they're the Redskins. I'm sorry, officially on this channel, we go by the old names, especially old models. It's the Washington Redskins because every cowboy hates Washington, and that's what it is. And so now Champ Bailey. Now this is interesting to show how bad a proud franchise has fallen. The last Hall of Famer was Champ Bailey back in 2002.
He was with so many other teams.
I know, and I remember Champ Bailey playing in college. Yeah, I remember Bailey playing in college. That's how old I am. But
he should be in there as a Bronco.
Yeah, you would think, yeah. But they have Russ Grimm, John Riggins, Darrell Green, and Art Monk. There's others.
Joe Gibbs.
So it'd be neat to look at the whole list of them.
Wow, Giants.
Giants. Michael Strahan is the most recent. Of course, you got Lawrence Taylor and Bill Parcells as a coach. And see, there's like Clobby had mentioned, there's the example of the bust on the, of the player that will be residing in the Hall of Fame. So, number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, Bradshaw, Bettis, Cower, Polamalu. You just
Lambert, Ham.
You got, you got so many, and like I mentioned, the Super Bowl with Dallas, with 24 were ultimately 24 Hall of Famers played in that game. It's like just
unreal,
and it was one of the best Super Bowls ever. Second to Green Bay Packers. Yep, Green Bay's second with 26. Of course, Lombardi as a coach. The trophy's named after him. The 89 and 29 regular season record. Wow. Imagine being a fan. So, and it went from 1-10 and hadn't had a winning record in 11 years. So, and the number 1 is the Chicago Bears, as we said earlier. George Halas. His name is big and a Bear legend. I think they still have the initials on the sleeve of the jerseys. 30 Hall of Famers.
Unreal.
It's just unreal what they've done.
That'll never be topped.
No. And let's see, on this one on this one it looks like they list all of them. Bill, George. See, Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those.
Good football player.
Yeah. Dan Hampton was a good lineman on that 84 team, but still
86 Bears.
Now Dick Butkus, yeah.
Well, yeah, Butkus was the greatest.
I saw a play the other day where I thought it was him. It was on a kick, and it was a bad snap, and he ended up running out as an eligible receiver and caught the touchdown pass. And the video showed he caught the ball in the end zone and stuck it right out to the defensive player and slapped the ball 20 yards away. That would be a Dick Butkus move,
He was unreal. Doug Atkins.
Gale Sayers.
Incredible. Great Gale Sayers.
Yeah.
Sweetness, of course.
George Blanda.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Red Grange. Wow. Mike Ditka. So yeah,
Singletary,
yeah.
the great
Which,
Walter Payton.
which this list makes you forget that Ditka did play as a Cowboy, but his
He
fame
played
really
as
is
a
a coach.
Cowboy and got a ring. Dick is probably the only player in history who has Hall of Fame career on a team that didn't even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Then he plays on a team that wins the Super Bowl, gets a ring as a player after playing on a shitty team before that. He was on a
Right.
crappy team. Then he becomes an assistant on that team that wins another Super Bowl. Then he got a head coach and wins the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's 1, 2, 3 of his Super Bowl rings for 3 different jobs: player, assistant coach, and head coach. Unreal.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean,
Yet he
that's what
still
Clobby.
traded
That's
the
why
whole draft.
Clobby. That's why I love having you around, man. Your knowledge of this stuff and pulling
Well,
this,
everybody knows that. That's easy stuff right there.
but still, I mean, the ability to recall that stuff is really, really cool. I appreciate you
I
being
also
here tonight.
recall that he traded a whole damn draft for one freaking running back.
I was trying not to say that again. I was
Oh,
trying not to bring that up again.
you
Oh
know what's
my
almost
gosh,
funnier than that, though, or almost sadder than that,
what's
is the
that?
jackass Dan Snyder, who benefited from it,
Yeah,
didn't do crap with it.
no,
If you
not at
trace
all.
what he did with 6 picks, I mean, a whole draft,
Yep.
and no, he didn't get one. He didn't have
I
one
mean,
lasting player. I don't think.
at least the Cowboys took advantage of the Herschel Walker deal.
Well, that was
Very nicely,
that
but
that
yeah,
draft was a joke on the Vikings.
yeah. I mean, Dan Snyder was. Oh gosh, I mean, he was a great equalizer. He, in terms of running your franchise
Run
down.
his ass out of there. He's terrible.
I know, but like the missus says, thanks for being here and thanks for hitting the like button on. And if y'all
Oh yeah.
make sure y'all hit the bells to get the notifications when we go live on the YouTube sides because they don't always work. And make sure you're still subscribed because weird things happen. Weird things happened the other night. So, hey, we're just going to say hello, thank you, and glad to have everybody here for your subs and, for spending time. We got 8 people hanging out with us on a Friday night talking NFL football, specifically the Pro Bowl. Not Pro Bowl, Pro Hall of Fame. So, thank you, everybody. So, we're going to take a look now. Let's see. Like I had mentioned, the week full of activities. Normally, we had touched on it earlier how the game used to be the same day of the event, of the induction ceremonies and stuff. But things go, they change it around, all that. Well, they moved the games to Thursday night now, and we already have our first football game in the record books. Clobby, how about that?
How about that?
The Browns beat the Jets 21-16, and I have no idea who any hell. Actually, I do have an idea only because I'm obsessed with college football. Kellen Mond, who was the quarterback for Cleveland, was actually played at Texas A&M a few years ago in the SEC. So that's how I know that name. But outside of that, well, Zach Wilson we know, but Zach's confined to the bench now with Aaron Rodgers trade with Aaron Rodgers in there. You know what was funny? They made a big deal. One of the stories that they had is that actually you can see it at the bottom. Aaron Rodgers coaches Zach Wilson on the sidelines. It seems like they made a big deal because he wouldn't help the backup in Green Bay, which was kind of like the way Brett Favre wouldn't help him when he was drafted. So it's just interesting some of the headlines you get from there.
Yeah.
So basically, the Jets had a 16-7 halftime lead. Touchdowns in the third, fourth quarter. Cleveland takes the victory. Really not much to say. I mean, decent game statistically. But it's a preseason game. I just looking at some of the, lots of these guys, maybe if they're on rosters, will be special team players. So it's just not, this is kind of like film game. You want to get on the field to get yourself on tape, either for this job or for the next job. So I will tell you, I see another, but I don't know whether to feel good about this guy or not. Mahmoud Diabate. He's a former Gator, but he ended up ditching the Gators to go to Utah last year. But hey, I do see another name that I know from there. So it's basically it's there. And hey, Lisa's here.
Lisa,
Good to see you,
what you say there,
Lisa.
Lisa?
How are you
Lisa.
tonight?
Hey, hey, hey.
Absolutely. Multitasking.
Good to see you.
Oh, Lisa always likes to give me a hard time for multitasking, and usually I'm not multitasking very well. So I can't chew and chew. I can't chew and walk at the same time. It's like when I'm trying to type a tweet out when I'm live. It's like it just doesn't help. It just does not work. Actually, but fairly clean game. Not too many turnovers. Punt just, I mean, really, it's just not a lot to say. Well, the New York Jets punter was pretty good. Look at that, 3 of 5 punts within the inside the 20, along the 52. So, but I tell you, you got to question some of these kicking numbers because I don't think they're really rushing the punters that much. When you're able to kick
preseason.
Yeah, you got a 66-yard punt. Yeah, it's so that's basically what we had here with this one. And let's see if I can play this. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to.
I don't know if you want to do that.
What's that? I'll just do a little bit real quick.
I guess you can't get in trouble too much. Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do. It's muted, and I'll just do a little clip here. So like here. See, that's what they did. They lost some of the lights in the stadium. Not a complete blackout, but hey, my kids actually played football darker stadium than that. It's like, just keep playing. You got some light. So, but that was a news story that happened last night from the game, was that they lost power, or at least a mini blackout, we'll call it. So, oh man, JT, I'm going to skip that for now. I will touch back on that in just a little bit. I saw that happening. I want to touch on that in a few remaining minutes if Clobby doesn't mind.
It's up to you.
Okay. See, I'm going
to
get us. No, that's okay. Well, I am just trying to make sure I've got everything lined up where I need it. And yes. Okay. Clobby, we talked about the players earlier. We listed them out. So let's go. And I'm not doing these in any particular order. Let's talk again about, I know you gave some observations of what you thought about some of these players. So let's look at these.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on you there for. I don't know if you were.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
Earlier. Okay.
It's Clobby. It's all good. It's all good because you know what? You're my guest. I want you to have freedom to, we can all come around and stuff like that. It's all good because, you gave me some things to think about, and it gives us a chance to talk a little bit stuff like that. I love the passion of a guest like that, Clobby. I can't hold back the clobberer. It's awesome. I love it. But hey, let's start with Zach Thomas, shall we? So, Zach Thomas, 1996 AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Pro, 7 Pro Bowls, 13 seasons.
Pretty damn good.
13-year career with the Dolphins. So, and feel free, folks, if you have an opinion in the chat, tell us if you think these deserve it or maybe your question or whatever you think. He had 20 and a half sacks, 17 interceptions for 170 yards and 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns on 17 interceptions. It's a Dolphins career record for interceptions returned for touchdowns. 184 games, including 168 starts for the Dolphins, which was the most for a team by a defensive player. So on this one, you can see some of the stats that are here. Thoughts on this one again? Is this a solid decision or what do you think?
He belongs in there. I mean, look at anytime you've got, when you look at a player that goes in there, you should look at first you go look at how many seasons they played. Then you go to their production and you see the number. Well, we're not looking at stats here. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But if you've been to 7 Pro Bowls and you're a 5-time All-Pro inside of 13 years, and you've actually been a defensive rookie of all those right there, and then you've got that interception record for the team. Yeah.
Yep.
A solid selection. He was great.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm going to have to pull these down one at a time because I did them in a different format. So we'll next one. This one I think might have a little bit of debate, but we'll see it. I think this guy, because of the length of time he played, And still some of the numbers when we look at it are kind of interesting. But Ronde Barber, we got Ronde Barber, 47 interceptions, 5 Pro Bowls, 28 sacks, 16 seasons, 14 touchdowns. That's a lot.
Let me go back to those numbers if you would.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
No, I didn't say he shouldn't be in there. I think he absolutely should be in there. He's what I mean. When you play that position for as long as he did,
I think somebody made a joke
for as well as he did.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he should have probably been in more Pro Bowls. But look at that interceptions number right there. That's insane.
47.
Sacks ain't bad either, considering he's a DB. I mean, that's pretty.
Look at the 14 touchdowns though.
14. It's killer. He is a no-brainer for the whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. And it's funny. Look at the patch. How he was as a player played in the Hall of Fame game. So let's see. So basically, it's 47. Let's see. It recaps the stats here. He played on big stages in the 1999 NFC Championship game. He made 8 tackles, 2 behind the line, in an 11-6 loss to the Rams. The 2003 NFC title game, returned an interception, 92 yards for a touchdown.
The Philly.
To seal the win in Philly, and at his sack, forced fumble, and 4 passes defense. And in the Super Bowl win over Oakland, had 5 tackles. But in 2001, he led the NFL with 10 picks, leading to the first of his 3 All-Pro honors and first of 5 Pro Bowl invitations. So, and twice that year, he was named Defensive Player of the Week, earning that 9 times, matching a record shared by Ray Lewis, Lawrence Taylor, Chris Dolman, and Bruce Moon. Oh my gosh, all members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And again, all rounded out by the ring, a shoe-in, no question about it.
All righty. All right. So we'll go here. Ken Riley, who played quarterback in college, but moved to cornerback in the NFL. 65 interceptions over the course of 5 seasons. That's over 4 picks a season. Very impressive with that. Ken Riley played quarterback at Florida A&M and then made the switch to the secondary in the NFL. He made an immediate impact, playing all 14 games as a rookie, 4 pass interceptions as the Bengals cracked the top 10 in defense despite a 4-9-1 team record. He would intercepted at least 1 pass in every season. Wow. Finishing his career with 65 overall. You know.
How this guy's till now it's criminal that he had been in the Hall of Fame. I've always thought it was criminal.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I mean, I don't know what. Go back to that interception number. Yep. 60 freaking 5 interceptions in 15 years, and you're not. You should be first ballot Hall of Famer. That's insane.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take a little different angle on this one with him, though, if you don't mind, because we look at his numbers. You're looking at numbers and the stats. I'm looking at something beyond the stats and beyond the field. Because it is a Pro Football Hall of Fame about contributions to football. And it may not be towards pro football necessarily, but I want to pick out something because he's relatively local to us. Because in college, not only did he quarterback Florida A&M to 23-7 record as a starting quarterback, 3 conference title, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame, but he was also their head football coach for about 8 years, from 86 to 93, served at the university as athletic director for almost 10 years. His teams at Florida A&M were 48, 39, and 2, who won 2 MEAC titles and a Coach of the Year awards. I mean, if he didn't do it as a player, look at off-the-field contributions to the game of football. I know it's not pro football, but it gives another element to how somebody contributed to the greatness of the game. So, and the article does say that 9 interceptions was his career high and a Bengals record, came in their 10-win 1976 season. He finished the year with a 3 interception game and a 42-3 rout of the New York Jets. So, yep, and he still intercepted 5 passes in the shortened 9-game season in 1982. So, and hey, hungry boy, hungry for kinder days. Hey,
good
night to see you. All right.
Well, see, all that stuff you just said about him is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cut any ice with me when it comes to whether he should or should not be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a certain dirtbag in there who belongs in there, and we know what he did later. So
yeah. Well, I just think in this case it adds to it.
I don't think it does.
Well, to me, it adds to it that he transcended the game beyond just the field, his actions on the field,
in a good way,
in a positive way. In a positive way.
But hey, the NFL Hall of Fame, whether he should or shouldn't be in there, I don't care if he kicks puppies and trips the little ladies walking across the street.
No,
if
I know.
He had, no, don't get me wrong.
No, I don't.
I'm talking about if we find out after the fact that he kicks puppies and trips the little ladies.
Yeah.
If, on the other hand, we don't know that, and we're about to put him in there, and we find that out, then I agree with you. For all that stuff, you're talking about, there are positive points of his character.
Yeah.
But that means nothing, because before he did all that stuff, he went and played football for all those years and didn't get squat for it. He should have been in for those numbers raw alone. Now, again,
I agree. I see your, and I agree, and I see your point, because it's right. He should have been in based on what he did on the field.
Let's say he got in right after his career was over.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we find out he kicks puppies and trips the little ladies. I'm going to be like, that sucks. What a dirtbag. Yeah, but he still needs to stay in the Hall of Fame. It's like that other person that we're not going to mention, that we should mention, who's in there and he did something horrible.
Yeah, I know. I got you. I just personally, though, Clobby, I do like the feel good stories sometimes.
I like all that stuff. It's fantastic to mention it.
And I do, but yeah, I agree, and it is a shame that he wasn't in there earlier from it.
So and by the way, I don't think I don't know why he's not in there. He should have been in there a long time ago. Just he gets overlooked. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, especially this day and age, you don't find corners with those kind of numbers anymore. Your corners, you find one or two, maybe a couple good corners in the season.
Find me another one with 65 interceptions.
I know, you're right.
I'll wait.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Well, let's go to one. See, I don't like offensive linemen in Hall of Fames and stuff like that. But you got to have them. They are contributors. But we'll look at Joe Thomas. But I will say, this guy has one stat that really jumps at me, really, really big, especially when you consider the intensity and the physicalness of the game, especially on the line.
Right.
Joe Thomas played not only 11 seasons, 10 Pro Bowls, but 10,363 consecutive snaps played.
Unreal.
That is, see, now I'll tell you, you talk about numbers, stats, and on the field, even if he stunk, somebody that can play that many snaps consecutively, not either being benched or injured or whatever, that's a number that jumps out at me, says Hall of Fame right there. That number is staggering. He also made the 2010s NFL All-Decade team.
Yeah. So I hear you.
No, it's but it's amazing. But see, then again, 11 years, 10 Pro Bowls. That's 11 years is quite a good career for an offensive lineman. I think Baselli probably paid anywhere between 6 to 9 seasons, and a couple were hurt, and yet he made the Hall of Fame. But this guy definitely deserved it. If anything, I saw Tony Baselli play, but this guy probably deserved to be in before Baselli. I mean, you look at 10,000 snaps played consecutively. Look at 10 over 11, and just these numbers are amazing to me. So he started each of his 167 career games. Now he did have his career was cut short by a triceps injury in week 7 of 2017. So, and Thomas is only one of 5 players in NFL history to earn a Pro Bowl selection in each of his first 10 seasons. The others are Merlin Olsen. Wow, that's a name. I remember FTD. I remember FTD Flowers and NBC was he with Dick Enberg a lot?
Yes, he was.
Yes, I love that combination of guys. God,
yeah.
Clobby, we got
Dick Enberg.
We got to have a show just about old broadcasters, because broadcasters suck now. They all suck.
They're all crap.
They need to friggin' hire you and me to do damn games nowadays, and we do a hell of a lot better than these guys now. But anyway, I digress on that. But Mel Renfro, Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, the only you know, it's just amazing what they have done. So, and he's the only offensive lineman to achieve that feat. The
Look,
others
left.
are running
Yeah.
back, lineman, other positions.
Well, what was that again? To which feet?
To Pro Bowl selection in each of his first 10 seasons.
Oh yeah. It's unreal.
All Pro 6 times, second team twice. So
Yeah.
a day. There's
Well,
another one.
think about
Go
Joe
ahead.
Thomas. Remember, it's tough to play LT, and I don't mean Lawrence Taylor. I mean left tackle
Mm-hmm.
is arguably this is why I think I'm glad he's been inducted. All right, is because left tackle is arguably the most important position next to maybe more important than quarterback, but certainly right there with quarterback because he is the quarterback's blind side,
Mm-hmm.
and you can play it at that level. What's that graphic you had up there of him again?
Let me plot back to it.
If you don't have it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I got it. I got it right here. I'm learning, Clobby.
That's cool. All right, 11 seasons, and make the first 10 of them. You make the Pro Bowl. You
Mm-hmm.
make NFL All-Decade team, and then I can't believe 10,363 consecutive
That's unreal.
snaps at LT at left tackle, arguably the most important position in football next to the quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
because you are the quarterback's blind side, and you got to be
Absolutely.
you got to be reliable like a rock, and that's pretty impressive to do it that long.
Yep.
And and offensive linemen usually are the guys that have the longevity, the guys who stick it. They get none of the glory and do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're only as good as your offensive line. Joe Burrow would have 2 Super Bowls right now if he had an offensive line.
Oh yeah.
And he don't. All he's got is a lot of pain and misery, and he got close to one. He got close to 2 of them. Really close to one of them. Winning one. He got in one and got close to winning it and didn't. Then he got close to getting another one and didn't, because he didn't have a Joe Thomas and guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about, when Joe Burrow's sitting around all beat up like he has been, he don't have a Joe Thomas and a lineman like that. So, yeah, Joe Thomas belongs there.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We still got
And he was
9 people.
protecting crap quarterbacks, but still.
Yes, exactly. Very crap quarterbacks, but hey, yeah, it's Hungry reminded me. Thank you for the reminder, Hungry. Hire Clobby to invite the Salt Cosell.
I think we'll bring Howard's here tonight, but he's busy. He's tired. Besides, Steve Mitchum's not here to be annoyed by my terrible Howard Cosell impression.
And just then is probably when Steve comes out of lurking somewhere.
Maddie's daddy is the greatest.
Exactly. With the greatest baby on youngster Tyler on YouTube. But hey, we got 9 people here. Thank you. Make sure you follow us on Twitch and like and subscribe here on the YouTube side, and we'll keep the party rolling. But okay, now you kind of alluded to this one. Yeah. We're alluded to this one. Joe Klecko. He all pros in 81 and 85, defensive player of the year, 81, 4 Pro Bowls in 12 seasons.
Also a very, very good football player. Does he belong in Hall of Fame? It's ticky-tack. But I kind of like seeing the old guys get in there instead of some of these youngers. So I'm gonna go with the old timers and just side with them and give them one. But it can make a case either way not to. I mean, but he was solid. He was a great player. Don't get me wrong. But all pro. Anytime you're all pro 2 different years, even though it's only the four Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
And remember though, it was with the Jets. So when you can play that level with the damn Jets, of the Jets of the 70s and 80s, that's not small. Yeah. So he's a good. I'm fine with him being in there.
And for a 6th-round pick, he did a lot. He had a very effective career for a 6th-round pick. So he actually holds team records for most games played on the defensive line at 140, most consecutive games with a full sack 10 in 77 to 78. So that's sacks. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's one season, but it's still one sack for 10 games in a row. His best season statistically was an 81, totaled league high 20 and a half sacks as a sack exchange dropped quarterback 66 times. So he won the UPI's Player of the Year, finished up as runner up to Pro Lawrence Taylor for the award for the Associated Press. Now Now he had a ruptured patella tendon in his knee in the second game, and he returned. But after 11 years, he played 1 year with the Colts, retired with 78 sacks in 155 games. So he's the third Jets player to have his number retired, following Namath and Don Maynard.
Yeah, I'm glad he made it.
Yeah. So you could still is this one that you can accept? I mean, maybe.
Oh, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, he had a long career and a lot of sacks. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I say, we always have to debate about the Hall of Very Good and see what becomes very good versus not.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Consider some of the other guys that have gotten in lately.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. Well, let's bring up a good old defensive. Okay, Clobby, repeat what you said about this guy. This guy, I'm a 70s Cowboy fan, but I did not get to really see him play because I was just too young. I think he probably had just about retired when I was able to start watching games on TV. But Chuck Howley, tell us about this guy.
Well, as you can see from the numbers, he has 5 all NFL selections. He has 25 interceptions. He's a linebacker. Remember that. So that's
holy crap. Yeah.
6 Pro Bowls, 15 seasons to have 25 interceptions as a linebacker in those days. And of course, he was an MVP of Super Bowl and Superman. Super Bowl 5, the only player from the losing side of a Super Bowl to be the game MVP. I say again, the only person ever to be the MVP of the game. He on the losing side of the game. He had a couple of picks, I believe, in that game. And again, he was a top-notch, thoroughbred linebacker from Landry's Cowboys when they were just coming into their own as a powerhouse. And so I'm glad to see him making players like that, historic players like that, should have been in a long time ago. So it's good to see him get in there.
Yeah, like I said, I this is one of those that I think I just missed it by a little bit of time.
I saw that, dude. I remember that Super Bowl. That's old I am. Big, that was very small, very young, but I remember the one. I think it might have been the one before it. I remember this one, and I remember the one after it even more clearly. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, it's just the numbers, and like you said, that folks. If you know anything about football, the forward pass really started getting traction in the 70s. Tom Landry, the flex, there's a flex defense, but the shotgun, and the developments in offense. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about Don Coryell in a second. But Clobby cannot be more right than anything there with what he said. Linebackers getting interceptions is one thing, but 25 interceptions by a linebacker when most teams did not throw the football that much back then.
Yeah.
The number is just staggering though.
It's a great number.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, let's see. There's a little bit more about him down here. He played 15 seasons in a position like that that's physically demanding. It let's see, he was very durable. So, and then Super Bowl 5 intercepted 2 passes and forced a fumble. Yeah. Dang, 2 pass picks and a forced fumble in that loss to the Colts.
Mm-hmm. That was considered the messiest, most screwed up Super Bowl ever played. If you ever go watch, you should watch NFL films about it. I've watched it many times. They show how both teams were trying to lose that game. They were playing like crap. Even Johnny U was not playing well. Craig Morton didn't play well. Both teams just kind of turning the ball over. It was a mess of a game, and the team that barely, they had to win on a turnover and a field goal. Basically, the Colts won that Super Bowl because they both looked terrible. It was just a weird. Everyone calls it the weirdest. The guys who played it said I couldn't understand what was going on that day. It was terrible. It was weird to them. Even the winning team, the Colts, felt weird about winning it because it was just such a crazy game. It's NFL history.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's. I've heard that talked about that it was one of the sloppiest games ever. We've come close to a few times over the years. I've had some very sloppy games, but that folks was golly. Who was the quarterback for the Cowboys back then? Was it
Craig Morton? Roger had been drafted years ago, but he hung out for like 5 years to go to the Naval Academy. And then he came in, and this year he was there on the bench. So it's pretty much Craig Morton was running the ball, played the game for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And Johnny U was starting at the end of his career for the Colts. And although toward the end of the game he got hurt, and they brought Earl Morrall in.
That reminds me of the Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl. He was so immobile and whatever, and he got the got the win, get the Super Bowl, at the end of a career. So,
yeah.
Well, let's hit these other two. Darrelle Rivas, we talked about that earlier. 29 picks in 11 seasons. Folks, right there, Clobby. That what you said about Ken Riley really is jumping at me though.
It's insanity.
65 picks in 15 years. This even more screams
injustice. Even in the passing era, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm getting more of an appreciation for what you put with insight with Riley, though, more looking at this. Darrelle Rivas is viewed as one of the shutdown corners in modern football, was over the top. Nobody wanted to throw his way. Yet he's in the Hall of Fame now pretty quickly. 65 picks, and that number is starting to make me madder, Club. Actually, and that's the thing is, folks, that's why I say that, folks, sports can be nerdy, sports can be geeky, whatever you want to call it, because when you start bending numbers and interpreting numbers, looking behind numbers, you can find trends, analyses, all kinds of stuff that it's just a different world. But so, I'm a numbers guy. The numbers like that speak more to me than anything else. And now we see the context. But like Darrelle Rivas, like I said, was, it's like he deserves it and all this. 7 Pro Bowls in 11 seasons, but you like 496 tackles, but you still kind of like 29 interceptions. Is that all? When they throw the ball a lot more?
It's 29 is pretty good since they weren't throwing near him. I'll make the allowance because they wouldn't throw at him.
Right. Exactly.
It was on an island, Rivas Island. He was a shut down corner, and whereas they were throwing that sucker willy nilly in the middle of the field when Riley was there, you can make that case that they weren't scared of one guy, and they were throwing it all over the place. They actually were scared to throw at Darrelle Rivas.
Yes,
and therefore they didn't have the time. So, could there be a lot more in an 11-year career? In the passing era, one would think. Nevertheless, it's nothing to sneeze at either.
No, definitely not.
So I think, considering the modern game, I think he belongs. This is good. He belongs because, yes, it's true. It's just different numbers. So it's true that it's different now, but yeah.
Well, look at a career: 496 tackles, 29 interceptions for 466 yards, and 3 touchdowns returned. 139 passes defense, 4 forced fumbles, 12 fumble recoveries. So, it's not like he didn't do it, but the game changed a bit. And like you said, they wouldn't throw his way. That was a planned strategy all the time. So, so it's definitely, I know, but it's still, it puts so much more context to that Ken Riley with 65 picks. But hey, well, we got one more player and then one coach. DeMarcus Ware now comes in. He's 4-time All-Pro, 9 Pro Bowls, 138.5 sacks in 12 seasons.
That's a lot of sacks.
It is.
That's a lot of sacks. He's really a sack rushing the quarterback kind of guy, but he can do a lot of other stuff too.
And he's out of a small school, Troy University. You not necessarily expect a player of that caliber from a small school, but hey, he spent the bulk of his career with the Cowboys before wrapping up with Denver. So he started all 16 games at right outside linebacker in his first year, 58 tackles and a team best 8 sacks. And he led the Cowboys East the next 7 seasons through 2012. And in 2008 and 2010, he led the NFL with 20 sacks and 15.5 sacks, respectively. He only played with a team with a losing record during his career once and made 5 playoff appearances. And he started in the Super Bowl 50 victory of the Carolina Panthers. So, again, he amassed 138.5 sacks, pass interceptions, 44-yard return with a touchdown, two fumbles for touchdowns, 178 games with 173 starts, and that's a lot of starts over a career. And he established a team's career sack record with Dallas in his final season at 117 that still stands. So obviously, Clobby, good choice on this one.
I mean, no, it's an okay choice. I mean, certainly it's a good modern day choice. You know that the modern day voters, I mean, he's very fresh. His career is very fresh in the mind of people, of the general public. He was a top notch modern day football player. Their first, it looks like this must be first ballot. I'm guessing, considering what year it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good safe choice. I mean, I can't criticize him in any way because the guy was really an excellent player for his league.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Well, we got one last member of this class that we're going to talk a little bit more. We touched on this guy quite a bit, so I don't know if we could say a lot more, but it's the head coach that's being brought in, the guy that transformed the game in so many ways is Don Coryell. Eric Coryell, as he was known back then. Like I said, watching a Chargers game on TV was different. It was always called different, and it was just a completely different offense ahead of its time. Yeah, the Cowboys passed a lot. They had the shotgun and things, but Cowboys always ran a lot of two wide blocking. Well, Billy Joe Dupree was a great receiving tight end, but it was not like with Winslow. Was it Winslow type of tight end? So
the receiver tight end.
Exactly. But, Coryell, NFL Coach of the Year in 1974, coached for 14 seasons. It seems like he lasted longer, but 5 division titles, a career record of 114, 89, and 1. So, I mean,
did it with 2 teams. He did it with 2 teams, by the way. Yep. So the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Chargers, and Jim Hart, are 2 great quarterbacks. Jim Hart and the even better Dan Fouts. He lit up it was called Eric Coryell for a reason. He brought a great excitement to the game that many, many coaches over the years after him, and even while he was still in the league, really picked up a lot of the things he did and tried to do them, try to copy them and all that kind of stuff. So he was an influential coach. Yes, he might be if I'm not mistaken, and it's probably he might be the first coach that I've seen inducted into the Hall of Fame that didn't win any championships, didn't even go to the Super Bowl. Yet he's in the Hall of Fame. Well, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. So why is he in there? He didn't win anything. You could make that case, or you can go, maybe he's in there because all these other coaches were so influenced by this guy that they felt, man, a name like this, there's going to be a reason that he's in the. I mean, again, players are different. You have players that never got not. You got plenty of players who did not go into a Super Bowl, never even played in the Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame because they were on the field. This is a coach. Name me another coach that's been inducted that didn't win a championship.
Yep,
it's not even. I don't think it's ever going to happen ever again.
But I do think that this is one of those things that you have to give credit for what we saw on the field because of the way he transformed the game. You can't measure the other thing you can measure coaches, but then again, I think you got to be careful measuring a coach winning any championship. I mean, look at Barry Switzer winning.
He inherited a team.
Yeah, so if we got to be careful to judge just on championships because you get somebody enough of even the worst incompetent coach can actually win something. But what Coryell did was actually change the game and how it was played. I mean, we got all the new rules because of offensive innovation that he did, and I think it made for a better game. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to talk about how special it is that he's been inducted because, like I said again. No coaches get into the Hall of Fame far less frequently.
Yeah. Well, look at this, that he replaced George Allen at Whittier College in California, won championships in all of his 3 seasons before heading to USC as an assistant. 1961, he became head coach of San Diego State, immediately turned around their team fortunes, winning 4 conference titles, posting a 104, 19-2 record in 12 seasons. But here, Hall of Fame coaches Joe Gibbs and John Madden served as assistants for him. So, he did produce a legacy of generating other Hall of Fame coaches too. So he affected the game in so many ways. So
Absolutely. Well, that's why he's here. That's why he's.
absolutely,
That's why they inducted him.
exactly.
And again, like I said, that's what's so remarkable about it, and you're never going to see that happen again. Not one. I don't think it's even possible for that you will see a coach in the Hall of Fame again that isn't a multi champion or a champion at least once.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that. Agree with that. So, well, we got 10 people still with us tonight. Hey, that's really good for sports balling tonight. So, we're going to go ahead and start to wrap up because I know Clobby's got other places to do, give him a chance to do some stuff. Let me hit one thing real quickly, and I'll try to be brief because JT Kirk brought something up that is breaking news tonight that I've seen. Wednesday, I had Whoopa Troopa on, and we talked about college football expansion. I love college football, and we talked about some of the concerns on it the other night. I'm not a fan of these super huge conferences. I think it's going to destroy the way the games are played. I think you're going to have too many big. There's no way that they can avoid expanding to 16 or more teams in a playoff if you're going to truly give teams a chance to win a national title. Not that the system currently or has been perfect or good in a lot of ways, but this I saw talk about this, but if this, Big Ten just picked up Oregon and Washington for 2024. See, when Texas and Oklahoma decided to join a couple years ago, they were forced to wait a couple years. What's also the pace of this is so scary that they're not sitting out another year. All these teams are just magically now it will be next year. It's what the landscape looks like for college football. I don't think it's good. Like in this case, you've got Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, and Stanford stuck in a Pac-12 conference. They're like Whoopa and I mentioned. Who are they going to get to be anything solid? They're just they've lost it, and now you're going to have these teams with 20 almost conferences with almost 20 teams in them. You've got natural rivalries that have formed that will not be able to be played anymore. Your bowl games could be affected, like the Rose Bowl. I don't know. There's just a lot to be said with it, and it's all happening at breakneck speed. And yes, I saw that, JT Kirk. Thanks for bringing that up since you're a Big Ten guy yourself. Now, Hungry Boy's coming in now saying the NFL uniforms are so much better than rugby uniforms. The NFL ones are superhero outfits designed for eye-catching helmets.
That's why I love them.
Well, Clobby, okay. Can you real quickly on the time we have left? What is your favorite NFL uniform, and what NFL uniform do you hate the most? And hey, Alaska Jeff, glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to pick a favorite. I mean, I'll tell you because when you're biased to your team, I love my Saints uniforms, though I hate some variations on those. But just going to old NFL without a team bias, I love those. Some of the variations, the blue powder bolt, the powder blue lightning bolt costumes. The Chargers are the best. They have some really cool ones. I mean,
interesting.
The team, the new Titans.
Well, the ones I hated were the Washington Redskins. I just hated those color combinations, and they haven't gotten better with those things that they went to now. I never hated the creamsicle Tampa Bay Bucks, but I know a lot of people didn't like that color.
What, the new Bucks or the old Bucks?
No, the old Bucks, the creamsicles.
I kind of like the creamsicles. It was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I hear you. I like the Oilers, and what's the Lipus, the intelligent human. What's her name? Oh, the human. The Bucks. No, I don't know. Now, my hated one.
Mm-hmm.
Again, leaving aside how much I hate the way they tweaked some of the Saints uniforms over the years, like with the damn black pants without a stripe and that kind of stuff. Yes, I'm a fashionista when it comes to the NFL. I'm trying to think who has the crappiest uniform. I don't know. I don't know if there's one I particularly hate. Maybe. Oh no. Oh yeah. The Seattle stupid ass recent uniforms. Every now and when they come with those glaring like nylon or not nylon, neon, freaking bright green, whatever the
They're,
hell, yellow or
they're trying
whatever.
to be the Oregon Ducks with that bright neon. I mean, that's stuff for road hazard work, not for NFL football.
Awful.
Jeez, yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Those
Yeah.
are,
So that's.
yeah, I don't like those too
I
much.
agree with you, but hey, thanks for being here for so long, Claudia. I'm going to do a little
Thank
bit
you,
of
man.
wrap up. It's a blast, dude. I mean, we're almost at 2 hours. Like, shoot, the time flew by. Who knew? Mrs., if you could throw Clobby's link back in. Clobby, why don't you say a little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself? I know most people, but for people that may be lurking or may watch this later, tell us a little bit about what you do, what you have going on.
Oh, thank you so much, buddy. It's always good to be here. Thanks for having me. It's good hanging out. Love talking to me some NFL as always. Love NFL history. Love talking the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But my true loves, of course, are the ones that my shows are based on, and my loves for comic books and Star Trek. Comics, I of course engaged with my good buddy Dad, man, where we have a little. What's that? Oh, sorry. I said thanks, Dad, man. I got backtracked. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry. Comics are one of the things I focus on Monday nights and stuff. But on Saturday night, actually, in about a half an hour, I'll be on the great 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser.
Mm-hmm.
My good buddy Nick has a Friday night comic shop talking 8:30 Central, 9 Eastern. Sorry, that's what I was meant to say. It said I made him into you. I made him Dad Man for a minute. Sorry.
Hey.
So I'll be going on with the Nick's comic shop boys. And then Saturday night, it's always Saturday night Star Trek. It will be I believe we're reviewing some Star Trek show. 4 more episodes of Star Trek Voyager with my wonderful first officer, Commander R.M. Briggs. Yes. Sunday nights, you and I get together with our great buddy Mark D. with the C at this Sunday night geekery.
Yes, definitely fun.
Yeah. And then Monday nights, I hang out with my buddy J Man on his channel. We're chronicling the Legion of Superheroes or early adventures, all in order. And then at my show at 9 p.m. Central on Monday night, Jack Kirby month continues on Clobberin Times, celebrating the King of Comics. So thanks for having me, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's always a blast to have you on. And you talked about some great of our mutual friends like Marty with a C. Damn it, Mark. We just love giving him a hard time. And I tell you, I've had 2 great streams with Raquel that have been awesome that we figured maybe about an hour and a half and we went almost 4 hours and food came up, of course. So it's always great. Let me hit a couple of little comments real quick. JT Kirk said the Eagles has some awful drab uniforms. His favorite is probably the classic Miami Dolphins.
Nice. Those are some great uniforms.
And says neon green sucks for anything but church dresses or road construction outfits. But hey, again, and he said it was fun. Clobby, it is a blast. I've enjoyed talking and love your knowledge. So let me do this real quick. August schedule, folks, coming up. We got some great stories, shows coming up. Of course, tonight we had Clobberin Times on Sunday at 5 p.m. Collecting with Pat S. Again, Pat was so good, had so much stuff. 3 hours was not enough. We got a lot of stuff left to go through that he's got. So join us 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon to hang out with me and Pat talking more video games. And he said he's got more pictures to send me. So we'll see. I'll go as long as my guests can go. We'll go and all that. Join us Wednesday the night at 9 p.m. for a really different Chilling with Miss Martin Muses, a lady with a great stream of different types of stuff out here on YouTube. Great lady and great content creator. Hope to get to learn more about her, hanging out with her. All right, here we go, Clobby. You ready for it? Friday the 11th at 8 p.m. We are going with Hungry Boy and the Missus to pillage the village. No stone will be left standing. It will be flames everywhere. Destruction will be mass chaos and everything everywhere. But hey, Hungry Boy though says he's going to be honest and he's going to be giving credit where credit's due. But folks, join us for that, which we believe will be very outspoken, very lively and entertaining for that. Get a great appearance by our friend Hungry Boy on the 16th on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Join me for a very special show that my kid and I, Angelo, are redoing our podcast, Walking and Rambling. We're not sure what we're doing, saying, and whatever, but we're just going to have a hangout and see how it goes and have some fun with each other and hopefully with you in the chat that attended. last Wednesday of the month, I do a regular movie review with Daisy Blossom Flower Child. And this month, we're going to hit the second Indiana Jones movie of 3. Yeah, there's only 3. And it's the Temple of the Doom. So, but let me say hello to Appion. Good to see you coming in, sir. Good to see you tonight. 13 people here. Yeah, Claudia, this happens so many times when I'm going to wind up. People come in, and I love it. Everybody, make sure you go hit like, comments, and share out the stream later. Watch the replays for anything that you missed. So that's the August lineup. Again, Sunday with Pat S. Join us for that. Miss Martin Muses on Wednesday. Pillars of Village on Friday. Special time. Please make. Yes, exactly. Later this month, I'm going to be on with Appion and talking about Starship Troopers. I'll put more about that as time gets closer. But yeah, another fun movie I love to talk about. So really getting into the movies thing. But folks, make plan to join me Saturday, August 19th at 7 p.m. for the 1-year anniversary celebration. I know actually who the first person to leave a comment on my channel is, and in a live stream video that was not me. So join us on the 19th for a little celebration and see what happens. And thank you for 428 subs as of tonight. I'm honored, touched, appreciated for all of it. Never expected, and I mean, 13 people hanging out with us after 2 hours on a chat. You guys are amazing. And thank you for investing your time in with me, the missus. For those of y'all that follow Ang on Twitch, just thank you all for all that you do. Thank you for being here and making it a hobby, a lot of fun. So I appreciate it. And Appion, you rock too, my friend. You rock too. Yeah, it did that recently. So yes, and hurrah from Hungry Boy. So okay, folks, the best way to do is get me on Dadman Walking 55 everywhere. YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter is the best place to follow me on Twitter to get live updates when I decide on the spur of the moment to go do a stream. You never know, especially when I get somebody that's willing to do something immediate. But folks, Dadman Walking 55 everywhere. Go back, like the videos, subscribe them out, and help with that algorithm. But Clobby, any last word, my friend?
Just thank you so much, buddy. I always enjoy this, and I get a chance to talk. I love my comics. I love my Star Trek and my other geek stuff. Of course, I do love NFL history almost on the level with that, and I don't get a chance to talk. I mean, I have many geek friends who are great at the other stuff, but don't really like it that much. So I love a chance to get to talk about that stuff. It's rare for me, and so really enjoy it. Puts to use all that. Watching all those NFL films that I watch on YouTube every night.
It's always a blast pleasure. If you ever think of an idea you want to talk about, you let me know anytime. We may have to explore old announcers because I love that when that came back tonight. Sure. But I got to go because Clobby's got to go. But thank you all for being here tonight.
Good night, everybody.
Thank y'all. Take care. Bye, all.